and a warm welcome to our special report, the program that gets you the ground zero report from whichever part of the country the Rajya Sabha TV cameras are travelling. Today we are in the state of Odisha, where the sea erosion has led to a tremendous shoreline depletion. But how has sea erosion really impacted the livelihoods of the people living around the coastal areas? How serious is this problem, and what is the government really doing to tackle this problem? Over the next 30 minutes, we take a look. Kilometers after kilometers of coastline is under the threat of erosion. The continued depletion of the shore has resulted in loss of huge landmass. How is this process impacting the lives of millions along the coastline? Rajya Sabha television team travelled through the inaccessible areas along the Odisha coast, and the findings were nothing less than shocking.
Seawater has engulfed our houses and we have lost everything we had. I had huge agricultural fields which got wiped away by seawater.
Enter the district of Kendrapada and travel another 60 kilometers, and you'll come across stories of destruction and displacement. The communities live under the constant fear of rising waves. What was once the source of their livelihood, tidal waves, have now become a source of constant threat. Meet Lakshmi Bari, who lost her house and belongings on a fateful night when the seawater entered her home. Her heart shudders even today at the mention of the ordeal she faced to save her family.
बापा हमारा जेतरा हमें बात्या है गला पिला सब मोर छोट छोट स्वामी से तोड़े छर बार करके
I have goose flesh when I think of that night when I lost almost everything because of seawater. Lakshmi is among the thousands who lost their homes to the fury of the sea. But when we moved around from one village to another, there were tales of horror and fear everywhere. I had a 12 days old baby in my arms when seawater entered my house. I was alone and did not know where to go, and finally got hold of a shaft and saved my kid's life.
My
life has completely changed and I know that it will never be the same. I feel threatened by the sea waves.
Coastal communities have been living under the fear of unpredictable cyclones, but that is now dwarfed by the apprehension of seawater looming large over their lives.
ये समुद्र आमर आगुरु अति आपणार निजर था जे कि एठू प्राय मो देखारे 5 किलोमीटर के
We are living under the constant fear of seawater entering our houses. Sea has become our biggest enemy.
आमको मन होची काले रात्रि आमे सोइथवा अवस्था रे ए समुद्र आम घर भीतर पसिजो कि गां भीतर बुडी जीवो आमे भासी जीवो.
Displaced families have managed to build houses in far-off villages but are still struggling to find their daily bread. Land and livestock lost, agricultural fields wiped out by the onslaught of the sea, life perhaps is a constant struggle for the coastal communities.
बहुत असुविधा हेबो जेतबे समुद्र माडी आसीबे सेतबे हम बाप मां कोन करिवे बहुत चिंता रे अछंती.
It's difficult convincing the children not to venture out in the sea. They don't go out to play in the sea anymore.
केमिति चलिबो सेटा पय चिंता अछि. तापर समुद्र जदि रास्ताटा समुद्र पाकर ठीक भाबर हुवंता ताहाले.
The uneven sea erosion has created inhabited islands totally cut off from the mainland. We travelled to one such district. Enter Rajnagar, where a number of villages were wiped out by the raging waves. We decided to visit some such island. We traversed inhospitable terrain to reach one of those islands. Because of the sea erosion, vast stretches of land have been cut off. In fact, there are very many villages which have got submerged. So for example, if you have to travel from one village to the other, you have to walk up to a distance of about 10 kilometers as what we are doing. We have no footwear. As you can see, we have to travel barefooted and cover this distance of about 9 kilometers, which is connecting one village to the other. The villagers here are forced to take this difficult journey almost every day for their daily chores. And this treacherous terrain leads to a village called Sadbhaya, which was once a group of 7 villages. But Sadbhaya is still some distance to go. We have crossed the Sadbhaya check gate and now we are heading towards one of those villages which have got completely submerged, and because of which the people now have got rehabilitated to some other village. So just remember that we are crossing this river barefooted. We left our footwears. We don't remember exactly where, but now yes, we have to go across this river and then only we'll reach our destination. One second, I'm slipping. खड़े रह सकते हैं. So this is the Bansadhara River which the villagers are talking about, and from time immemorial people have been saying that here's more than 1 lakh crocodiles are here in this particular river. So you can imagine how risky it is for the people who are traveling from one side of the river to the other. According to the forest officials here, there are some 4 to 5 incidents every month when the crocodiles attack the people. But let me tell you, it's not only the crocodiles, there is also the risk of cobra snakes here. So you can imagine how difficult and how risky the terrain is where we are traveling right now. So finally we reached the mouth of the sea, and this vast stretch of the beach you see was once a village called Pentos. And adjoining this hamlet is the village of Sadbhaya. Now this vast expanse of sea beach which you see behind me is actually not the sea beach. It was once upon a time a nondescript village called Kanpur. But when the seawater entered into these villages way back in 1999, the entire village got swept away and the villagers from here have rehabilitated themselves to other villages. Now for example, right behind me you see the remnants of a thatched hut which used to be a part of that village. Now joining me is the Sarpanch of that once upon a time village, Nigomanand Raut. सर आप मुझे ये बताइए कि कैसे ये जो सी वाटर अंदर आता है, ये कैसे गांव में इसका पानी कैसे अंदर आया और कैसे ये गांव ख़त्म हुए?
वो यहाँ से वो 3 किलोमीटर दूर था। 99 में जो साइक्लोन में हुआ, एक दिन रात को आ गया तो वो तो कल 300 परिवार यहाँ से चला गया। उसका घर पर जो था वो चला गया। वो लोग जाकर उधर से रहता है। वो यहाँ से 1971 से 99 3 किलोमीटर वो अतिक्रम किया। लेकिन तब से अब तक तो सारे धीरे धीरे करके बहुत सारे गांव खत्म हो गए हैं ना? हाँ, वो 7 गांव था। अभी एक ही गांव सातो भाया है और सब गांव चला गया है।
Now as we are moving from one village to the other, we are coming across remnants which have an emotional value. For example, look at this. This was once upon a time a well. You can see the concrete structure of the well, but on top of it is the mound of the mud as the seawater crept in and the well is now a closed entity. Life comes to a standstill in these small hutments in this island. These forgotten people have one major grouse, that they were not compensated for their losses.
सी भी रक्षा हो पारनी जदि सी कौन सी सरकार जदि माने ढलई रोड किसी करते सीवाल करते ताले किसी लोक वंचित अवस्था रहते.
I think there is a total budget of about 220 crores, out of which maybe 10% is for Kendrapada. So this is yet to be implemented, and when the implementation takes place, part of the cost will go towards infrastructure building and part of the work will go towards rehabilitation of the villages. That is when they will get the compensation. So most of the rehabilitation has not yet happened.
As they wait for the authorities to take note of their plight, these villagers are putting all their troubles behind under the fear of the rising waves. Let's take a quick break, but coming up, how sea erosion is not only becoming a national but a global threat, and how are the governments going to address this problem? Back in a moment. Apart from putting human lives under threat, the erosion is also threatening the rich marine biodiversity along the coast. The world's largest sea turtle nesting beach on the Odisha coast is in peril because of massive erosion happening in the past 3 years. The traditional mass nesting grounds of the olive ridley turtles at the mouth of the Rishikulia River in the Ganjam district of Odisha boasted of 1.5 lakh eggs every year. But due to erosion, all these eggs are now lost. The nesting sites across the beach have once been a major tourist attraction, but all that is past now.
The process of nestling and coming of the turtles, they are totally guided by the climate change only. Tourist activities, yes, definitely. If there is any declining in the hatching process, definitely it will happen, though it will affect the tourist process too.
As Environment Minister, it is my mandate to make sure that I protect the wildlife, the flora and fauna of our country.
The damage done by the super typhoon of 1999 that killed 100,000 people in Odisha could have been avoided had mangroves along the coast been there. 13 years down the line, the picture has not changed. Mangroves continue to shrink because of clearing for development, logging and shrimp farming. Right now I am at the Rajnagar area of the Kendrapada district of Odisha, and this particular place is also known as the salt forest or the mangrove forest. But let me tell you that the impact of sea erosion has been so tremendous that most of these mangrove areas have got depleted. Now let me show you towards my right. This is the mangrove area where the government is trying to save whatever left mangrove areas are there. But if I can ask my camera person to show you to the left, that particular area, you see that the mangroves have completely been wiped out. The greatest benefit of mangroves is their ability to cushion storm surges. This benefit is long-term and requires no maintenance. But unfortunately, miles of mangroves have disappeared along the coast. Environment experts say that the situation has now assumed alarming proportions.
The dangers ahead is also there, how to also pollute the climate, as well also the sea erosion will be the more and more. The government of Odisha or the government of India, when they allows and gives the also the environmental clearance, and also for their bringing the foreign investment in our state, they do not calculate what will harm will be and what chemical pollution will be done.
Beach erosion or coastal erosion is not just the concern of Odisha. Most of India's long coastline is under threat. There are reports of erosion from Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Goa, Kerala, where hundreds of kilometers of shores have been lost. Experts cite climate change as the main reason for this phenomenon.
Now suppose they are having a wall, if they do not know in future how the waves will behave, how the sea rise is going to happen, how do you think that it will be permanently you have a permanent solution? My opinion is, if we go for a sea rise change related to climate change, that means we must go for a climatic model.
The short-term solution to sea erosion is construction of the sea walls, and Odisha boasts of its first geotube sea wall. Geotubes are made up of high-grade Rexon and filled with sand and are put in place along erosion-hit coastline. The geotubes are being placed on a 700-meter-long embankment at Pentos. The sand-filled Rexon bags would act as protective barrier against the tidal waves. It would absorb the tidal ingress and salinity contents and would stop erosion, say experts. The geotube experiment to arrest sea erosion in Kendrapada district is the country's second such project. It has already been successfully executed in the erosion-hit Digha shoreline of West Bengal. Right now I am at a village called Pentok, which is part of the Kendrapada district. Now these wooden enclosures which you see around me were actually constructed by the government when the already existing seawall collapsed due to sea erosion. And since the process of sea erosion continues unabated, the government had to think of new alternatives.
There is a program for this entire coastal area development and rehabilitation, and part of that involves building a sea wall at the most vulnerable point, which would be a concrete wall which protects against the lashing of the heavy waves, which then eats away at the coastline and the villages. Now these are expensive things, so you obviously can't have very long stretches built at a time.
The records show an average annual rise of 1.29 meters in sea level over the last 40 to 50 years. This rise at various places during the past century is alarming. The details given below give a clear picture. Take a look now. Cochin has seen a rise of 1.2 millimeters per year from the year 1939 to 1991. Visakhapatnam from the year 1937 to 1991 has seen a rise of 0.9 millimeters per year. Mumbai from 1870 to 1990 has seen a rise of 0.8 millimeters per year. And similarly, Sundarban from the year 1985 to 2000 has seen a rise of 3.14 millimeters per year. Coastlines around the world are depleting due to rising sea levels and climatic changes. Some of the fast vanishing shorelines around the world are that of Santa Barbara, North Carolina, Dunwich, New Orleans and Hawaii. Central government's integrated coastal zone management project will utilize a three-pronged approach to improve coastal zone management in close coordination with coastal residents and other stakeholders. The program focuses on women, youth and private firms and encourage entrepreneurship at micro, small and medium levels.
For long-term management plan, it should be integrated, which should be sustainable, and then for that we need a detailed coastal zone study.
Coastal erosion is one issue that will occupy the mind space of a lot of people.
See, very serious issue because it's happening every year. Monsoon time, it happens in the sea erosion, we call them.
But this slow killer is threatening the life and livelihood of millions across the globe. To tame angry tidal waves, the government needs to work in tandem with local people, NGOs and global agencies. So you've seen all aspects of sea erosion and how it really impacts the livelihoods of the people. But what perhaps the need of the hour is that the countries across the globe should come together at the World Forum to address this problem before it snowballs into a much bigger threat. That brings us to the end of this special report from the state of Odisha. We promise to bring you more such special reports in future. From our entire team, have a great day, goodbye and thanks for watching.